In here. I can hear me too.
But we need infield there.
Are you on the
It's on your head.
Are you on the website?
No, that's far.
Can you hear this? 1, 2. One better.
Even probably during the slide, that there's a question that you think it's not that long of a presentation, but feel free to raise your quickly. I'd like to introduce Dennis. He's going to do the slide presentation today for us. And again, thank you all for coming.
So thank you, Shannon, and thank all of you for coming here today to hear our presentation on the new precinct opportunities that we have available for everybody. These are proposed. None of this is set in stone yet, and that is the purpose of the public hearing, to get public feedback and see where the public stands on the proposals that we're making. So we are the new Precinct Opportunities Committee, and if I can get my clicker to work, that would be dandy. Looks like we're having some technical difficulties today. There it goes. All right, so just a quick agenda. I'm going to start with some introductions for everybody on the committee. Then I'm going to move over to our primary goals and then to the areas of opportunity. Then I'll provide you all with a brief and quick summary and then open the floor up for public comments. But like I said, like Shannon said, if you have a burning question that you would like immediately answered, don't hesitate to raise your hand and we'll get the mic to you, and I or anyone else on the committee will answer the question to the best of our ability. So who are we? Well, we were appointed by the Georgia Board of Election, the Camden Board of Elections and Registration. We're comprised of 3 election staff members, 3 Board of Election and Registration members, 2 political representatives, and an honorary member. So we tried to get a variety of input and ideas from every part of the spectrum, be it public servants, political representatives, and board members. So to start with our election staff members, our chair is Election Supervisor Shannon Nettles, who you just heard from. Our vice chair is Election Assistant Supervisor Deborah Felix, who's with us today. And I am our elections technician and the NPOC Geographical Information System, or GIS system, and mapping lead. So everything you see that was kind of like my technical handiwork. And then additionally, we have our board members. We have the BoER chair, Mr. Kyle Rapp. He's with us here today. And then our BoER vice chair, Ms. Clara Harden. She's here today with us as well. And then finally, we have Dr. Julia McCullough, who is our our District 4 representative on the BoER. And then finally, for our political representatives and our honorary member, we have Dr. Janet Bradford, who unfortunately could not be with us today, but she is representative of the Democratic Party of Camden County. We have Ms. Donna Schwartz here. She is our Camden County Republican Party representative. And we have Ms. Mary Beckman, who is our honorary member appointed by the board. And I also wanted to give a special thanks to Ms. Kelly Stofflet. She was our Republican Party member before she was appointed to the Board of Elections and Registration for District 3. So thank you for your service on the committee. And thank you to all of our members for your service on this committee. There we go. All right, so why did we form? So I'm going to give a brief story to everybody. So after the December election, everybody in the election staff office was thinking, how could we best utilize a year that we wouldn't be seeing as many elections? As you know, we're probably going to have a minimum of 3 elections in next year, possibly 5. And this year it was only 1 or 2. And with the cancellation of the Woodbine election, only ended up being 2. So we wanted to know how we could best use this time to serve the community and potentially make it easier for everyone to vote. So we got together and we decided that we wanted to form a committee to possibly alter our precincts. So we formed on a basis of 2 principal ideas. The first is that we wanted to encourage greater voter participation and easier access to polling locations. The second was we wanted to optimize the operation of our polling locations. So we got together, we made a presentation to the Board of Elections, and we formed under these primary goals. So these are the goals set forth by the Board of Elections and Registration. We wanted to assess Camden County's precincts and all relevant data. We wanted to increase the efficiency and voter participation in our precincts and elections. And we wanted to recommend modifications for improvement to Camden's precincts. So here are our areas of opportunity. This is what we decided as a committee was the best places to improve the voting experience for the voters of Camden County. We start with North St. Mary's with robust additions. Next is historic Kingsland, a brand new precinct completely reorganized from the 2 Kingsland precincts we had previously, or 2 of the Kingsland precincts we had previously. Next, we have Browntown and West Kingsland, which will be consolidated. And Mush Bluff and St. Mary's finally unified. So to start with North St. Mary's, well, what's the action and what's the reason? So the action is transferring voters that reside in around the Mush Bluff precinct, that's Mush Bluff Road or Elliott's Bluff for your geographically inclined individuals, and moving them to North St. Mary's. So what's our reasoning for this? Well, it's an easier commute to the polls for these people. They would just have to hop on Charlie Smith Senior Highway, drive it straight down, and then they're right here in the building that we're in currently, St. Mary's Church. We wanted to increase the number of voters that came to this precinct. We were seeing it was underused by the current voters, and we wanted to encourage more usage of this space because we believe this is one of our better polling locations. So we wanted to see it reflected by the usage. And then finally, an additional thing to consider is we could reduce the numbers in the St. Mary's precinct. Agape has a lot of voters. It's, I believe, our second largest precinct, and reducing that number of voters while giving an underused precinct more voters, I think is a very intuitive response. So that's the North St. Mary's changes in a nutshell. And also, I can point your attention to the map in the back. It has red diagonal lines for the voters that will be affected by this precinct change. So that's those people that will have the polling locations change that live in that geographical area. And I'll also have it up on the screen after the presentation. Next is historic Kingsland. So what were our actions? Well, we are proposing to merge the North Kingsland and Kingsland precincts. So that's precincts 7 and 8. And then we're also want to expand the southwestern border of the Kingsland precinct to US 17. So currently it's on Scrubby Bluff Road. We're going to move that southwest to US 17. So what does this do? What is our reasoning for this? Well, the two precincts we have currently, the North Center and the Board of Education building and the Department of Driver Services, they're both becoming increasingly unusable. The North Center and DDS both can't really keep up with the increase in voters that they're experiencing. Additionally, the electrical situation there is not ideal for what we want moving forward. So, they're becoming increasingly unusable as the population grows. And then on the flip side, we were actually offered Kingsland Municipal Court as a potential polling location for this new precinct. And we went there and we looked at it and we thought it was amazing. They have great electrical, they have great space. It's not that far a drive from the DDS, and it's just 150 feet from the previous North Center polling location for North Kingsland. And then additionally, the reason we are changing the Scrubby Bluff Road to US 17 is because that's an easier commute for those voters. Those voters would have to drive all the way to the Harbor Worship Center in Browntown so that they could vote. Now they're just a short drive up the road to the Kingsland Municipal Court. So again, I'll point your attention to the map in the back. That is the blue diagonal lines for all the voters that will see their precinct location change. Again, it will be up on the screen after the presentation. And now I'm going to move on to some minor enhancements. So these are just some housekeeping areas that we thought would make it easier for voters to understand the process. So we're going to be combining or consolidating the Browntown and West Kingsland precincts. They already share a polling location. They both already vote at Harbor. This is simply to make it easier and let everybody that shares the same polling location know that they vote at the same precinct. And it's the same for Mush Bluff and St. Mary's. They already vote at Agape. The people that are left over from the change, they will already vote at Agape. So what we're doing is we're consolidating those two precincts so that everybody that votes at Agape precinct can know that they are a St. Mary's precinct voter. And that's, we just thought it would be easier on the voters to understand that. Finally is Woodbine. So with Woodbine, we're planning on changing the polling location from City Hall to First Baptist Church. The reasoning for this is the church has more space. It's got a better electrical outlet system, and their schedule is more amenable to the 2024 cycle. With city council, you have to worry about council meetings or, other usage for that building. But with the church, they have been more than amenable to assist us with scheduling for the 2024 election cycle. So we thought that that would be a good change for the voters of Woodbine and give them more space to conduct their elections. So in summary, North St. Mary's, we're adding voters from the Mush Bluff precinct up at Mush Bluff Road and Elliott's Bluff to encourage greater voter participation in North St. Mary's. We're reorganizing Kingsland, North Kingsland and Kingsland, to address current areas for improvement to create the historic Kingsland precinct. Browntown and West Kingsland are being consolidated, as well as Mush Bluff and St. Mary's, to increase the election efficiency for the voters. And then finally, Woodbine is would be getting a new, more spacious polling location that is still convenient to voters. So does anybody have any comments, questions that any of us on the committee could answer? Mr. Canning, let's get you a microphone.
Word that I haven't heard you use with the presentation, which is very good, was county districts.
Yes.
When we have, with 14 precincts and all the locations of it.
Currently, yes, sir.
Also, I think your headline weeks ago or months ago was that you were moving to 11 precincts and 11 locations. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
In the past, rightly or wrongly, there was confusion. To clarify this, maybe even further, when it came to people understanding what district they were in regard to what precinct they were voting at or what location. Up till now, we've had as many, correct me if I'm wrong, 3 districts, maybe even voting at one single location. So 3 different houses. So it takes me a while to get to my question. Okay. How will the public, first of all, what impact, if at all, will this have on people understanding and voting for what district? Is there change there, which I suspect the answer. How will we better communicate that to people, especially the ones that are being in reduction precincts and locations?
Their districts obviously won't change. I think we have reduced the number of districts at the Agape location from we don't? Okay. I was thinking, okay, yeah. When looking at the changes to make the precinct lines work a little bit better, it was very difficult to do anything with moving. We can't move district lines, obviously, but moving those precinct lines to district lines. So weren't many options for change in that respect.
So maybe to make my point a little clearer, that is, it's not so much what, I understand the difficulty. The districts are locked in concrete for the next 10 years, okay? My question is, how do we make sure that the public isn't either further confused by these changes, or if they're not confused now, make sure they're not confused in the future? I don't think we do a very good job in whether it's through a matrix or a map or a narrative or some way or another, making sure people understand that I'm in District 1 and this is my commissioner, and even though I'm changing my precinct, that's still my commissioner. I think that subject in that communications needs to be greatly improved, and I was hoping that that was a part of your team's strategy.
So the way that we're going to, so these voters will each that have been affected by a precinct change or polling location change, they will be receiving a new precinct card, and on that precinct card will be their districts. So that would be their county commission, board of education, all their municipal and everything like that. So every voter that will be affected will receive a piece of paper in the mail from the Georgia Secretary of State that states the district that they're in. Additionally, we had a very productive meeting with the Geographical Information System team yesterday, and they had actually put out a kind of like a feeler for creating a tool that could be used on our website to simply type in your address and then immediately have those districts pulled up. So you could see your district, your county commissioner, your, your municipal, your city, all of those different types of things. So that was something that we had a discussion about yesterday. And again, to answer your question, the individuals that will be seeing that change will be receiving a precinct card to assuage any concerns they might have about their district.
And
Thank you. I'm gonna turn off my, give it to somebody else here. I just want to make one point, and I haven't made it yet, evidently. I understand everybody's gonna get a new precinct card. I understand you're gonna provide the information to the people. The problem is, I'm sure you run into this all the time. The system you have for putting in your address and finding out what district you're in and what else, that works fine when you know that it's there and how to use it. We need to do a better job of educating our voting public about the tools that you're going to put in place and are already in place. I'm not condemning the things that you're doing. I'm saying that we need to make the public more aware. Thank you.
And when we mail, we haven't formalized exactly the process that we're going to go through with the individuals that are being affected by these changes, but there are potential to do things like take their precinct card and it would go in an envelope and we'd have a letter attached to that explaining some of that information, as well as posting the links that we have in on our websites for them to check, to see the bigger picture and see a map or something like that. So there's an opportunity there. And also, if you all have other suggestions on how we can better communicate with the voter, I would say besides direct mail, I think that would be great. We'd like to hear from them if you have opportunities or you have a way that we can better communicate anything that has to do with elections to the voter. So please let us know if you have a specific thing. We will have items in place moving forward to get this information to our voters. It's just not all finalized yet, exactly the process that we'll do. Yeah.
Sooner the better, often as you can.
Yep. Yep. All right. Any more questions? Do you all understand in the presentation what part of the Mush Bluff and Elliott's Plantation area would be relocated to this facility to do the voting? Do you have any questions there? You good? All right. We are recording this and it is being live streamed, so I'm going to let you ask that question in the microphone so that we can make sure it gets on the tape.
Asking you, how soon will you know the result of all of your community opportunities, and how soon will you have renumbered the precincts so that people can start getting ready on that?
All of these items should be finalized by the end of the year. We do have processes we have to go through with the Secretary of State's office. We have 30-day requirements, 60-day requirements, newspaper requirements. And of course, this has to be advertised in the illegals of the newspaper. We have to vote on it as a board as well. So we hope to have these changes in place and begin to get all the information out by the end of the year. I would think committee, does that sound about right? In December.
Changing precinct. That it has to go before not just the Secretary of Elections Division, but also the state election. So those two things.
Yeah. The Secretary of State obviously has to be notified and approve of our changes as well and verify that they are taking place and the changes to the precincts are in the right locations and things like that. And that's part of what the 30 and the 60-day requirements are, plus the legal requirements we have for posting. So we hope by the end of this year, we'll have everything squared away. Our first election is March 12th. So ideally, earlier in December would be better. I do want y'all to look at the maps in the back too. Oh, it's up here. It's little, but you can see okay, somebody I showed the maps to yesterday, the one on the left, they said that looks like a bird. And then the one on the right with the red looks like a man praying. That's what I was told yesterday when somebody looked at the map. So we'll go with that description for explaining things. You can see that the polling location on the far left would be called Historic Kingsland. And the dot in the center, near about the center, is the location of the polling place. Okay, and that would be the municipal court building. And then the little man praying up there, that's the Mush Bluff area. Those voters, and I believe it starts at Albert's Court, which is directly off of the spur, Charlie Smith Highway. From there on up, the residents that are in that Mush Bluff area will be moved into this precinct of North St. Mary's. How many voters was that? Around 800 voters. And that would give us more voting taking place here. And then fewer, those people do go right now to Agape. So they would be coming out of Agape and voting here. And this site can certainly handle that many more voters. And then we would be down to 11 polling places, 11 precincts. Does that make sense? What our plan too in the future is to get a large map like the one in the back for each precinct. It would be much more detailed with street names, highlighted with the name of the precinct that would be on it. And those would be on the website as well. We have a new GIS person with us, mapping, that we got recently, who came to us from Glenn County. So that's going to be a really big advantage for us. We'll have in-house printing. We got those maps in less than 4 hours yesterday, printed up. I think there's a lot of potential there to do stuff a lot fancier and nicer and showcase where all the streets are in each precinct. Yes, ma'am.
It behooves us to be clear that the outline, that is not a precinct. That is the part of previous precinct, Mush Bluff, that is proposed to be put into the much larger North St. Mary's. So that the red outline is different to the green outline. Respect.
Yep, and there is a legend on the bottom right of the map. There's a legend detailing that information. So yes, that little area is just showcasing the little area of voters that will be moved and collaborated in with the North St. Mary's group. Yes, sir. Tom?
One of the things I think we're learning over time, absentee ballots have been more people using the absentee. See that affects, how many voters you actually get, both early voting as well as at the precincts. When the team did all your calculations and your 800 voters, praying man section, did you consider or calculate the actual number impact of voters that routinely, religiously choose to vote on election day? What kind of impact are we expecting at those precincts? Is it reasonably proportional, or is it significantly higher or lower?
Yes, sir. So that was actually one of our major concerns and something that we looked into very early on in the process. So that change was specifically made because those 800 voters are voters that tend to vote on election day and in person. So we decided to use this area because not only did it, serve the needs of this polling location while also not overfilling the polling location. Because I might remind the audience that we are required to have one polling machine for every 250 active registered voters in a specific precinct. So not only did it serve the needs of this precinct to get more active election day voters, but it also didn't overfill the area. It's the same reason why we looked at East Kingsland, but at the end of the day, we decided let's keep it all the same because a good 40% of East Kingsland voters actually vote absentee. So the issues with so there aren't very many issues with lines on election day because half of the people have already voted. So I hope that answers your question. But yes, we did look intently at the way these voters voted to make the decisions that we made.
Fine, any more questions? What do y'all think? Good changes? Do you all have any ideas off the
Top of your head for notifying voters? I know we've talked about each of the cities putting a little, either something in their water bill or putting a digital, not a digital, but a typed message on their card that they receive with their bill. Things like that will definitely be looked into. I don't know if anything's jumping out at anybody right now.